Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us or rejoining Scott. You will be able to listen to one of the most important topic in tourism, which is covered today by the team selected by our moderator, Dr. Shujin. Today's webinar is volume 61 of Scott webinar series, and I'm going to invite Professor Jafari for the opening remark. Professor Jafari, floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to everybody. The subject is very interesting and valuable, the subject of this webinar. I saw the word sustainability used in the abstract, and of course, today this is connected to climate change. And both sustainability and climate change are big issues, big enough that even last night it entered the presidential debate between ex-President Trump and Vice President Harris. Of course, they didn't answer the question, they didn't deal with it, but we are going to deal with it. Tourism industry started many years ago, or tourism many years ago started talking about sustainability, and gradually sustainability went beyond nature and culture was added to it. And now this has graduated to the concept and practice of climate change, as tourism can become a victim of climate change, as experience already says. But experience already shows, sorry. I'm confident that issues of nature and culture are going to be discussed in this webinar. Sustainability is not and should not be confined to nature, but it must include culture. Often in tourism, we deal sustainability in the sense of nature and resources, but one of the resources is the culture itself. And culture is one of the last ones that we may deal with it because it's there and we believe it's ours to use, but that's not the case. It belongs to the local people, and we have seen already the clash between tourism or tourists and the tourist and industry, basically, in the name of over-tourism. Over-tourism does not belong to big cities like Barcelona. It also belongs to small villages and tourism destinations as well. So if over-tourism in Barcelona or Venice means millions of tourists, in a village, in a tourism village destination, it could be 100 might be too many per day, or 200 per day might be too many. So these are the balances that we need to keep in mind as we develop tourism, and to know about the pains and pleasure of developing tourism. I'm particularly interested in today's webinar, interested to see what local strategies are being used. Each destination is so different from the rest of the destinations, and it's very interesting to see how each particular destination comes up with its own unique cultural, natural strategies in developing tourism. So I'm really interested to know more about local initiatives that are taking place in order to make sustainable tourism development more rewarding for the tourist, for the residents, and for the employees of the tourism industry. I'm very interested to learn from the panel discussion today, and welcome to Scott's series.
Thank you, Prof. Jafari, for your insightful opening remark. And today's webinar is taking us to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, covering local resources social caring for local communities and staff, as well as the hotel energy solutions using new technology applications. So without any ado, I'm going to ask Shujin, who has conducted several other webinars with Scott and his team to start the webinar, and we are all yours. Shujin, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Kazem. And first of all, before we get into the main webinar itself, let me extend my warm greetings from the capital of Spain, Madrid. And this is where I live and I used to work. And to the audience, this is very important. And today, wherever you are, a good morning, a good noon, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you in the various parts of this Earth's planet. Well, you already heard that I'm Shu Jing. I will be today's moderator. The basic background of this webinar serial has already been introduced by my two good friends, Professor Jafar Jafari, who doesn't need any introduction, who is worldwide known in the international tourism community, basically for his great academic achievements. And the list of achievements is very long, but the most representative one of his achievements, among many others, probably, if I would say, was the Ulysses Award that he received from the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And that Ulysses Award is almost like the Oscar Gold Award in the tourism sector as far as academia world is concerned. And not only him, but Professor Kazem Wafadari, who is from the APU University of Japan. He is behind everything of this serial, together with his team, and such as Hirasan, who is also behind the scene, on this very reputed webinar serial ever since the year 2020. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from my side, what I'm aiming at today, through today's webinar, is probably I would like to look at two things through their presentations. The number one, probably we would like to see how these hotel properties, by the way, not necessarily mega hotel properties, each of them, these two properties situated in South Asia, and especially in the island nations of South Asia, how are they doing their bit in the social caring for their employees, for their staff, as well as for the surrounding local community. And this is target number one. And target number two, which I think is equally important, is how the new applications of energy solutions are affecting, and more than anything else, are transforming the classic way of operations in a property like yours. And as a whole, today's webinar, ladies and gentlemen, what we wanted to aim at is actually to use many small initiatives, small examples as the so-called butterfly effect, and how these small changes are gradually affecting the overall country in the industry, in the hospitality industry, how these small changes are affecting the rest of the region and the rest of the world. So these are the two-folded objectives of today's seminar. Now, after each and every one of you making the presentation or intervention, rather, I shall ask you a few questions if time permitting, but not so much questions. It's more about enriching and highlighting what you wanted to say to the audience. Now, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker will be a young gentleman from Sri Lanka, Mr. Hashan Kure. He is the director of marketing and development of this hotel group called Jetwing Hotels. I'm sure that people working in this industry knows Sri Lankan's Jetwing Hotels very well. So Hashan, is actually a third generation hotelier following his father's footsteps. Who is his father? Hiran Kure. He's also a longtime friend of mine and ours in the whole entire international tourism community. But Hashan today probably will more tell you about his grandpapa, Herbert, who founded Jetwing in 1973. Listen, as early as 1973. And I understand that he will address the audience today more on the social component, social side of Jetwing Hotel's journey on sustainability. Now I give the floor to our young gentleman, Hashan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Zhu. And Ayubowan, everyone, from Colombo in Sri Lanka. We're at the head office here. I just getting ready with the slides. So if it's visible to everybody, I will quickly start with the program. So, I mean, Jetwin, just to introduce the company to all of you who are tuned in. We are a hospitality and travel company in Sri Lanka. We are a fully Sri Lankan company located here in South Asia. So we've been in hospitality since 1973. So 50 years of going through the hardships of Sri Lanka's journey in the last 50 years. As an industry, as a tourism industry, we have faced many challenges. From being in a country that went through 30 years of civil war, internal conflict, and then of course we had numerous challenges in the last 5 years as well. But somehow, with the grace of God and with the strength of our people, we have managed to survive these 50 years, and thankfully and hopefully we managed to continue to grow and evolve in the years to come as well. So I think the main reason for that is definitely the people of Jetwin of Sri Lanka. So that is why we always, as Mr. Zhu and the professors were saying previously, we are in an industry of people. It's not necessarily about the environmental sustainability alone. While we do, of course, have to protect the environment, we have to, look after our people, whether they are directly involved with the company or part of the larger community that is supported by our hotels. So as a company, our brand ethos is about delivering legendary Sri Lankan hospitality. Sri Lankans are known for our warmth, island hospitality, whether it's in the beaches, whether it's in the mountains or the national parks, or so much more that we offer. And as a company, what we like to do is enrich those experiences and give the guests, our guests from around the world, the best and most warm, loving hospitality that we can give. So we have over 30 properties around the island, and we are proud to be the pioneers of responsible and sustainable tourism in Sri Lanka, having developed a program over the last 50 years. So moving on. As Mr. Zhu also mentioned, I would like to focus a little bit more on my grandfather, the founder of Jetwin, who started the company in 1973. So actually, his belief always was that hospitality cannot exist isolated from the local communities and the environment. Going a little bit, previous to his involvement in the hospitality sector, he was actually in his mid-40s when he got into hotels by building his first property just near the airport in a small beachside village back in the day called Negombo, which is now a booming tourism destination. He started with just 6 rooms. And before that, he was actually a building contractor where he was building houses and other buildings, including smaller hotels for other people as well. And, just a little prior to that, he was, before he became a businessman, he was a staunch socialist in his youth. part of the local socialist movement, bit of a rebellious youth of his own in his university days, and even when he started out with a bit of politics in his early days, but thankfully got out of it after some years. But he always had a strong belief in the socialistic values. While he became an entrepreneur and followed a more capitalist mindset in his latter years, he always wanted to combine the social elements in whatever business work that he did. That is why Jetwin, from our early days, we always had an open policy with our people, whether like I mentioned, the people in our organization or the people who are around our properties. We are probably one of the only hotel companies in Sri Lanka and in the world where none of our hotels have a gate. Again, I mean, it's a small thing, but that is just to show that we are open. We don't think everybody around us is coming here to rob us. We work with the local community. The people know that. The people in the area know that they are welcome. They are not blocking them. We are not keeping this separate from them, because we understand that something my grandfather always used to tell, at least not to us directly because he passed away when I was young. But my dad always says that when he was growing up, my grandfather always used to tell him that whatever we do has to benefit the local community. We can't, cordon off this building from the rest of the community, from the rest of the village or whatever the surrounding area is. We cannot, just bring in all our goods from other parts of the country or other parts of the world and sell them here. We have to make sure that we create opportunities both in terms of employment and in terms of business. We have to create economic opportunities in every possible aspect, whether it's our suppliers, whether it's the people that we recruit, have to be from the local community, because once they benefit, once the people of the area benefit from what we do, then they become, they fall in love with the industry. They fall in love with the tourism as a concept. They understand the economic value of it, and they realize the economic value of it when they are integrated into the hotel operation. So that has thankfully over the last 50 years been one of our main strengths, which has allowed us to not only operate in 1 or 2 areas in Sri Lanka. We have over 30 properties in different parts of the island, over 16 unique cities and destinations within this small island. So one of the reasons why we have been able to do that is because of our people-centric approach. And moving forward, so in terms of a sustainability strategy, just to give you a little introduction to how this came up. So while we followed his principles, which were more philosophical, and of course he was there to put it in place, and my dad also, along with our team, a growing team over the years, has been able to implement. I think about 10 years ago, we created a dedicated sustainability strategy, especially with Sashika's help and the rest of our young team at the time. And then we had 6 pillars, with 3 pillars focusing on the people aspect and 3 pillars focusing more on the other areas of sustainability, which is the energy efficiency, the resource efficiency, and all of that. So actually, very recently, just about a week ago, we adopted a few new, not new pillars, but we reworked on a sustainability strategy as well by reintroducing some elements that we also realized were not part of our old. So what we also feel is this is not something that is set in stone. It can never be set in stone. It is something that keeps evolving with the world changing, with our problems changing. Now we have to accept that certain things have already happened, whether it's climate change or depletion of certain resources. We need to first accept that and then see what we can do to mitigate this getting a bigger problem. So that I think Sashika will touch on more later on, but I will focus on our 3 pillars that go through, that specialize more on that are more focused on the people aspect of our business operations. So the first is a thriving community. like I mentioned, whatever we do at Jetwin around the island of Sri Lanka, we have to contribute to the local economic and social development. All our projects under this pillar have that as a core priority, which is essential to any operation that we do, which, like I mentioned before, it was happening unofficially for many years, but in the last 10 years, this has been part of our core business value proposition. And as now basically it's essential that any Jetwin property has to follow these principles. And then, of course, creating meaningful opportunities, engagement and livelihood development, again, with the people of the community, and building partnerships that foster shared success, which is with our local supply chain. So I'll just very quickly go through a few projects just to highlight the impact that we've been able to have in our small island of Sri Lanka. One of our biggest success stories is the Jetwin Youth Development Program, where we have enabled youth from economically disadvantaged families or backgrounds to enter our industry by giving them free education in hospitality and in English, and then taking them on to our workforce. And we are proud to say that since 2006, when we first launched the program, today we have over 1,200 individuals whom we have recruited through this program. So they're completely, people who had never, pretty much never worked before in their lives. They have, 18. Most of them joined the program at the age of 18. We only have two requirements. One is that they are over the age of 18, and the other is that they're able to smile, which isn't too hard to find in Sri Lanka, because most Sri Lankan people are by nature very loving and caring. So as long as any youth in an area where we operate a hotel fits these two criteria, we take them on and we teach them the basic skills required to be in the hospitality industry, and we take them on. And again, when we have people from the area working at our hotels, they feel proud. They feel like, this is my hotel. This is people are coming and staying in my home, in my hotel. So they had that love, they have that pride when they're serving our guests. So I think in our industry, especially, that goes a long way, and that has been one of our most successful initiatives to date. Another program where we work with local budding entrepreneurs is Thrive, another project of ours where we assist local suppliers where by providing them awareness, training, giving them market feedback, as in giving them information on what we require from our hotel operations and also what other buyers will require from their services. These are most of the time very, very micro scale entrepreneurs who have very limited access to information, access to funding. So how we help them is by giving them, guaranteed purchasing, education, and making sure that they're able to sustain their business operations. Most of them are actually single females who are unable to find other sources of income, or their male partner who was the breadwinner for the family had passed away, or some other challenges came their way. We encourage them to join this program and created an additional source of income to these people. And then at one of our properties, Jetwin Kaduruketa, we have a program where we integrate farming agricultural practices with the property. So we have 20 local farming families that benefit from the hotel operations, and it's a stakeholder. They are also stakeholders of the business, and we divide the harvest 50-50 with the farmers and the property. And then another program of ours, which is another landmark project, which is Second Careers, where we created a gender-sensitive recruitment project where women over the age of 40 who, again, similar to the entrepreneur program, were unable to find other sources of income. We inculcated them into our operations. We gave them training. These are people who had never worked before, but due to economic requirements, they were looking for work, and we did a short training program and brought them into our workforce. Similarly, we create experiential travel with local partners, and we always, have our properties, our platforms to showcase local knowledge and talent, with most of the artwork, furniture being produced locally. And we also have solutions like our, community pools, our tuk-tuk programs at certain hotels, which, give again, focusing on the local community, giving them exposure in different aspects and making sure that whatever we do benefits them economically or socially. And then empowered family is another pillar of ours. I'll quickly run through the other two. This is, again, more focused on the JetWin family, which is the over 3,000 associates who are part of our organization, where we focus on creating and enriching an equitable work environment, focusing on career and personal development, and emphasize on safety and well-being. So under this pillar, we have many projects focused on JetWin's own people, fostering a workplace that reflects the diversity of our guests and the communities that we serve. We have programs that like iCare, which focuses on the health and well-being of our associates. And then finally, just to touch on heritage stewardship, which is one of our revised pillars, where we talk about culture, we talk about heritage in two aspects, which is the natural heritage of Sri Lanka, which is the biodiversity and the fauna and flora, and the cultural heritage of Sri Lanka, where we do have projects in terms of restoring old buildings, in terms of preserving our culture, in terms of arts and crafts, and also making sure that the traditions, the values of Sri Lankan culture don't get destroyed over the years, and with the negative impacts of tourism don't happen in our operations. So all this is in these projects, like with the creation of a wetland nature reserve, which we created in our own property called JetWin Villuena, where purely by creating our own wetland, we saw such a amazing increase in the natural environment, in the biodiversity at the property. We revived an ancient tradition of heirloom rice varieties in our 50 acres of organic rice cultivation. Our designs, our properties been influenced by traditional Sri Lankan architecture of, ancient Sri Lanka, not the colonial past, but the actual ancient Sri Lankan architecture. So similarly, we have many projects that, cover the human aspects, the cultural aspects in many ways. And thank you for the opportunity. And my colleague will later on share more information of the other pillars. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hashan. Thank you. Excellent intervention. Excellent. And you more or less kept the time, but let's collaborate with the following three people. One thing is how you have been doing successfully as a JetWin hotel group or as a JetWin family. And the other thing is how you are going to tell the story to the audience and to the outside world as a whole. Hashan, you did it, and I see Hiran, your father, in you when you did this very well-versed presentation. Congratulations, Hashan. And yes, just one simple comment and one question, because I understand that you have to leave after this and you cannot really get into the discussion session. My one comment is basically based on what you have done, and I really like this philosophy of not running your business in isolation. Yes, you need to consider all the profit margins, but in the same time, the caring part, the social caring part that you have done has actually benefit your success in economic terms, because if you have the isolation, without the surrounding community, and this will not really work. And this is probably one of the highlights that I wanted to draw the attention of the audience. JetWin success story on the social caring part. Now, question to you, Hashan. When it comes to social caring and I think you have really helped the local surrounding communities in the various locations of Jetwin hotels. Did that particular caring help you during the difficult times of COVID? Did it help you specifically on the retaining of your workforce if they were from those local small communities?
Yes, thanks, Drew, for the question and your kind words. So it was definitely not an easy thing to do, but it definitely did help. So when the trouble started, and unfortunately, even before COVID, we had one disastrous year because we had a terrible terrorist attack on Easter Sunday of 2019, followed by, of course, what the world went through with COVID. But despite all of those challenges and with our income literally coming to zero for many months, my father's one thing he always said, okay, thankfully the government gave us a moratorium on any term loans that we had, so we didn't have to pay back interest. If we had to pay back the interest on the loans that we had, we would have probably not been speaking here today. And then we also got short-term working capital loans. Our only priorities in those months. So since we didn't have our normally our priorities are always the staff, the suppliers, and the banks. So since we didn't have to pay the banks in those months, our priorities were one thing my grandfather always used to say was, we have to pay what is due on the due date, because that is how we build credibility, and that is what has helped us create a 50-year long business. And
including you have to pay to the staff for their salaries, at least the minimum.
So when we went to literally zero income, all the staff at all our properties, we made sure every 25th of the month, some were on voluntary reductions, but to everybody, whether it was a full salary or a slightly reduced salary, every single month on the 25th, we made sure everything was paid. And with that, we actually created, okay, we did that purely because the people needed that income to survive. And even if we had to borrow money to pay that, we did that. And now, we have a very low, we've always had that, thankfully, but, the people know that even in bad times, we are there for them. They know that we are not a company that, asks them to leave when things are bad and takes them back when things are good. They know that we are a company that takes care of them in good times and in bad times. And it has built a lot of, good value, good, good faith and confidence in the people of Jetwin and the others in the industry, knowing that ours is a company that looks after the people, and the people therefore look after us. And we never thankfully have challenges finding people to work with Jetwin because of the this reputation that we have. So thankfully, yes, there definitely are benefits when it comes to retaining and recruiting people in the long term.
I'm very glad to hear all of this, because this will certainly be a good example for other industry players to learn from you, the Jetwin Hotel Group. Due to time limitation, I have to stop you at here. And let's move on to the second speaker, also from Sri Lanka and also from the Jetwin Hotel Group. And our second speaker is Miss Sashika Kaluwahewa. Always very long Sri Lankan surnames. Huh? And she is the manager of sustainability within the Jetwin family. I understand that she joined the hotel group in 2013 and overseeing the entire brand's many environmental sustainability initiatives. With both a bachelor degree and a master degree in environmental management, she blends, the way I understand, academic rigor with practical expertise. And she, over the years, ever since she joined the group, has played a key role in developing and implementing related policies and strategies that drive the group's commitment to sustainability. And I understand, Sashika, you are going to give us several examples across the Jetwin hotels, especially from the technical side of the journey of the same butterfly effect sustainability initiative. Now let's welcome Ms. Sashika.
Hi, everyone. So I will continue the presentation, focusing more on the environment aspects. So Hashan touched on the more social, the people aspects of it. So I'll move on to the environment-focused categories of our sustainability strategy, starting off with climate action. So being an island nation, we are very impacted, or there will be a lot of impacts for us, particularly when it comes to climate change. So how we're choosing to address this is in two ways. One, look at mitigation of climate change or reducing our emissions, but also look at where we can adapt to the change that's going to happen inevitably. When it comes to mitigation, our key priority here is try to transition to renewable energy sources as much as possible, and also minimize emissions through innovation, especially looking at energy efficiency. So when you talk about renewable energy, Sri Lanka is a tropical country. Most parts of the island have year-round sunshine. So we try to make as much use of that as possible. So most of our properties feature solar PV systems or solar photovoltaic systems, which generate electricity or supplement the electricity supply. If you take it across the group, about a quarter of our electricity will be supplied by solar PV by the end of the year. So this is everything from 20 kilowatt systems to systems which are about 350 kilowatts on rooftops. So at some of our properties, this electricity brings about 50% of the daily requirement, or the PV panels bring about 50% of the electricity requirement. Particularly, I like to highlight the property which is in the image. So this is Jetping Jungle Lodge, which is on the east coast of Sri Lanka. This particular property has enough solar PV, which will offset its entire Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. So operationally, all of our direct emissions and our indirect energy emissions will be offset by the emissions that is reduced by this particular solar PV system, about 125 kilowatts. We don't just use solar PV, we also use solar thermal systems. So this is for our hot water generation. So again, most of our hotels now feature these systems, where during sunlit hours, during the day, our hot water generation is through solar systems. So during the night time, what we use for our hot water generation is our boilers. So if you take across the day, our entire hot water generation in most of our hotels is through renewable energy. When you talk about boilers at hotels, we use boilers for hot water generation, yes, but also for steam generation. And this steam is used for our laundries, and also in the case of 4 of our hotels for our air conditioning systems, which I'll get to in a bit. But I want to highlight something unique about the biomass boilers we use. It is a type of fuel wood. So the problem with biomass is if it's sourced unsustainability, it doesn't really contribute to sustainability at all. If you're deforesting or cutting down your virgin forests or natural forests, it doesn't really help in the mitigation of emissions at all. So what we use for our boilers is primarily cinnamon wood. So cinnamon is cultivated for its spice, used as a spice. And what's harvested actually as a spice is the bark of the tree. And the stem of the tree or the wood of the tree is actually agricultural process waste, which doesn't really have commercial value. So what we started doing about a decade ago is buying this agricultural waste to use in our biomass boilers. So while cinnamon wood has several technical advantages, it also contributes to the social or the communities, because in addition to the spice that they are making money out of, they are also now making an additional income out of the wood or the waste product they are selling to us. So overall, this contributes to the environment and the society as one initiative. I mentioned we use steam for our air conditioning systems as well. So this is a technology called vapor absorption chillers. This is slightly different to what's commonly used, which is the vapor compression systems. So this uses a heat source. In our case, this is steam, which is generated from the biomass boilers. So essentially, our air conditioning is driven through renewable source of energy. So this is particularly important because for a hotel, about 50 to 60% of our electricity bill actually just goes for air conditioning, especially in a tropical country. So by the use of this technology, we are using a renewable source, an alternative energy source for our air conditioning system. And this means it's also bringing down our carbon footprint significantly. While those are fairly large initiatives, we have also have several smaller initiatives, but impactful initiatives which we use when it comes to renewable energy. This is particularly for our cafeterias or our staff cafeterias, which are most often separate from the restaurant kitchens or our main kitchens in the hotel. We've tried to use as much as possible renewable energy in these kitchens as well. So this includes biogas stoves. So this is biogas produced from our own food waste, which is generated at the kitchens. Biomass stoves, which is again fuel wood, mostly cinnamon wood or waste wood from the properties which is used. And also sometimes steam-driven appliances, which uses the steam from the biomass boilers. So with a combination of these three appliances or fixtures, our staff cafeterias, some of it which produces about 900 meals or 1,000 meals per day, are now run entirely on renewable energy. Moving forward, we are also looking at electric vehicles. So we try to incorporate electric vehicles where possible within the property. So this is electric buggies or golf carts, which we use for transport within our properties. But in the case of one city hotel, we've also tried to introduce, or we've introduced electric tuk-tuks. So tuk-tuks are fairly common in Sri Lanka, but these particular tuk-tuks are electric, and these are actually designed and manufactured by a local company, and we were the first commercial user of this particular product. We're also trying to facilitate the use of electric vehicles in Sri Lanka, because one of the problems with EVs is that if you don't have the charging infrastructure, people are reluctant or they're not encouraged to use it. So across the group, we are trying to introduce more electric vehicle charging stations at our hotels. So people are also encouraged to use EVs going forward. While those have been mostly in terms of renewable energy, we've also tried to look at energy efficiency operationally. So this is something we have considered at the design stage itself at our hotels. So we try to incorporate open spaces as much as possible. So that means operationally over a long period of time, we're using less energy to artificially illuminate or artificially ventilate spaces, especially during daytime. We don't have to spend energy or money trying to illuminate our spaces or ventilate our spaces if we kind of integrate it with the natural environment and make use of the environment we have around us. So those are just a few examples of what we've done in terms of energy. And moving on into resource efficiency. So this is mostly about our raw material use and optimizing its use, not just reducing use, but optimizing the use of our resources, especially looking at circular practices in improving or increasing the reusability and recyclability of our waste from our processes. Especially when it comes to water, there are several areas in the country which are scarce in freshwater resources. In these areas, we've tried to reduce the burden on the national supply and to source our own water. So this, in the case of Jetping Yala, which is on the east coast, or it's on the coast of beaches itself. So we use seawater, purify that water through reverse osmosis or RO systems to produce our fresh water. We have another example in the north of the country at Jaffna, which has not good quality groundwater. So we use RO systems again to purify that water and make our own requirement when it comes to fresh water. And this, what we're trying to do with this particular initiative is to reduce the burden on the national supplies. RO systems are energy intensive, so we are aware of that. And what we're doing is when we are purchasing these RO systems, we've tried to purchase systems which have energy recovery systems. So at least we're looking at energy recovery in the systems and reducing the energy requirement needed for these processes. When it comes to solid waste management, an area we've looked very seriously and intensively is in the single-use plastics. So across our operations, we've tried to phase out single-use plastics altogether. So this is everything from the straws to stirrers, which we've replaced with biodegradable alternatives, and the plastic amenity bottles, the plastic water bottles, which are now replaced with glass or reusable alternatives. So plastic across its life cycle is a problem from its production to its disposal. So we've tried to reduce it as much as possible in our operations, but we're also working with our suppliers to make sure or make them aware on using alternatives and reducing the plastic packages, especially tertiary or secondary packaging, which are sometimes unnecessary. When it comes to waste, the other area we've kind of focused quite intensively is in the organic waste management. So most of our hotels our organic waste is managed on site. So it's not sent out of the property. So this is two ways. When it comes to food waste, we produce biogas. I think I mentioned in energy section, that we use biogas stoves for our kitchens or our staff cafeterias. So this biogas is produced from our own food waste. So all the waste from the kitchens, the restaurants, the plate waste, all of that is used to generate biogas, and the gas is used in our staff cafeterias itself. So this is both an initiative to manage our food waste efficiently, but also generate a renewable source of energy. The other way we kind of look at our organic waste is composting. So we have, most of our hotels have composting, window composting or composting plants or different methods of composting, where we're looking at bringing back the nutrients through a circular way into the landscape itself. It is not just a solid waste we look at, we also look at wastewater. So the wastewater that is generated from our operations is treated on site. Obviously, in Sri Lanka, there's a legal requirement to treat our wastewater before we dispose it, but we go a step further here and we are reusing our wastewater. So everything from our gardens, cooling towers, for flushing in our cisterns in the washrooms, all of that, which don't require high quality water, we use this treated water. So that means while we are treating our wastewater and not discharging it into the environment directly, we are also reducing the freshwater requirement needed in our operations. So those again were a few areas in how we looked at circularity and resource efficiency. And moving on into the last area we'll talk about, which is insourcing. So at hotels, we buy everything from our fresh produce to a cotton bud to a toothbrush. Everything needs to be bought to use in our hotels. And that means we have a very complex and large supply chain network. So our procurement decisions can have impacts both on the environment, on the local economy, and on the local environment, especially when it comes to transport emissions. So we kind of need to be conscious of that when we make our choices. And this is something we've practiced for a very long time when it comes to sourcing, is to prioritize local sourcing as much as possible, especially when it comes to the fresh produce and seafood. Sri Lanka is a tropical country. We have a lot of fresh produce, a lot of vegetation that's growing in this country. We're an island. We have a lot of seafood around us, or a lot of ocean around us. So seafood is abundantly available. We try to maximize that as much as possible. So as a policy, at our hotels, we do not serve any imported fruits or any imported seafood, but we champion local ingredients and local materials in our dishes across our hotels. And this is not necessarily only about products. We also look at local sourcing when it comes to our services as well. And especially when it comes to our fresh produce, wherever possible, we try to actually grow our own produce as well. So our hotels, which have large expanses of land, we've tried to kind of use that land productively and grow our own fresh produce. So we get a fresh product, a nutritious product where the quality can be ensured, but also we give the guests an experience where they can kind of go and harvest their own ingredients, and the chef can make personalized or customized dishes for them as well. And finally, when it comes to sourcing, one of the ways we can look at reducing the impact of it is to kind of manage the production process on our own. And the best example we have for this is our water bottling plants. In plastic waste management, I talked about how we've replaced plastic bottles or water bottles with glass water bottles. These glass water bottles are produced at our own or filled at our own bottling plants in our hotels. So we have several bottling plants in various locations across Sri Lanka, which cater to most of our hotels. And these bottling plants have the capability to wash the bottles or sanitize the bottles and fill them, seal them, and they can be used over and over again in our hotels. So we've minimized the use of plastic, but we've also reduced the transport impacts in having to kind of bring these glass bottles back and forth because we have our own bottling plants. So those were several examples of how we've looked at sustainability from an environment lens. And I'd just like to end it with this particular slide where our sustainability initiatives, we talk about it with the tagline of creating a butterfly effect. So I think that with what was mentioned in the introduction as well, us doing these little things, us talking about what we're doing, we hopefully inspire others also to change, make changes towards a sustainable journey. And hopefully we are creating a butterfly effect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sashika. Thank you so much. And I like very much your last slide about the butterfly effect. As long as anyone and everyone has the determination of going forward, everyone together will be able to do it. And you have done it. And congratulations on all the technical sides that you covered. I'm sorry that you were only allowed for 15 minutes. I would have liked you to talk about 15 hours. Really, really very interesting. Even as a layman in this field of environmental management, when I hear, solar energy, of course, that's the usual example that you get. But I was very interested in hearing all these biogas linking to the stoves for the canteen for your staff, and I was especially interested in hearing things like cinnamon. You use that as an example in order to do the cooling system. What a scheme! What a scheme! And all of these processes, in each and every step, you try to fit in, whether be it local sourcing, be it using the local materials, be it using the local people. You always have this social caring component in this physical technical side, which usually is a dry side of the initiative. So congratulations, and tell Hiran that I'm ready to go back to see all the new changes. Thank you so much, Sashika. Now let us switch slightly in South Asia from Sri Lanka to another country, a little bit further down south or down southwest, to the archipelago of the Republic of the Maldives, or in Spanish, they always call Maldives as Las Maldivas. So our first speaker from the Republic of the Maldives is Mr. Hugo Pedrosa. He is not Maldivian, although he's based and living and working in Maldives. He's a Portuguese professional in his early 40s. He told us actually the exact age in his CV, but I decided to make you guys as audience to make a wild guess how old he is actually when he shows up. He's like Sashika. He's also got several degrees, such as an MBA in business management, and another MBA in green and sustainable project management. He's a co-founder of this Eco Boutique Hotel in the Maldives, and this is the focus of his today's talk. And I understand that Hugo, or in Portuguese or Spanish, we say Hugo rather than Hugo. He will give us some 6 aspects, I understand, of his journey of sustainability and how this journey of sustainability has affected the various processes. And I wanted to emphasize especially the people factor in particular. Let's welcome Hugo. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Chu Jing. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this webinar and to bring our boutique hotel here. It's very hard to do that after so amazing presentations and really inspiration. I think we are a new hotel. We just launched 2 years, and we have a long journey to the front. And to hear Sashika and Ashan, thank you so much. You are really great inspiration for us, and with amazing presentation and doing amazing job. Thank you. So we start our project. We are 3 partners, 2 from Portugal and 1 from Maldives, without too much experience in hospitality, or without experience. Our background is different. But from the beginning, our goal is to build something. And we start in the beginning of the project with just 12 rooms. To bring something, to build something sustainable, to be an inspiration like the ones I saw now from Jetwing Hotels. So this is our hotel. We are located in a really small island in Maldives with 600 meters per 200 meters, 250 meters. And in the beginning, we realized we don't have fresh water in the island, no sewage system. So from the beginning, our focus is these areas. the people, the materials, the water, the waste, the energy. Here we need to create buildings for our staff. We need to create all the conditions, accommodation, food. In our location, it's impossible to have staff to go home. We have some staff from some local staff, but it's not easy. Maldives have 500,000 population, and it's difficult to find the number of employees what we desire to have in the future from the locals. But from the beginning is our main focus. It's not possible to build a project, to make a project without the focus in people. And now I'm talking as a project manager from the beginning of the construction of the hotel. And what our team making is an amazing job. We are talking about one island without cars. All the logistics in Maldives is difficult to bring all the materials. We start in September of 2019. A couple of months later, we have really difficulties with the COVID. Some suppliers just disappear. We need to reorganize all the projects, to change the scope, and who make the difference is our staff, is our team. And we are building something from the beginning to take care of our staff as our family. And in the same way, our staff take our guests as our family. So, and for us, it's not possible to do things like some beautiful examples we saw from jet-wing hotels. Maldives don't have too much production. So here we give priority all the time, example in the supplies for the fishing, but Maldives don't have agriculture. So we need to bring all of our supply from Male, but we try to give all time the priority to a local suppliers. So, we receive some schools. Is a pleasure for us to show how the things becoming from the project, and after to show the day by day in the hotel. And this is something what we want to continue to inspire, and we believe in the new generations and the changes what the new generations can bring for the country. So we start everything from to looking for the materials. This is our first key area. And it's clear for three of us to avoid to use concrete and cement. So when we start to look how we will do it. So the concept and the samplers what we design is with the structure, and we cover with bamboo plywood and with bamboo. And in all in all areas of our hotel, we try to use as maximum of a natural materials. So we try to combine the design. This is the example how looking our bungalows and our villas with a metal structure and full cover in bamboo. So we have around here 45 kilometers of bamboo. In the beginning, our main supplier is in the area of Pondicherry in India. And during the lockdown and during the pandemic, we changed and we start to work with Vietnam. In the interiors as well, all of our furniture is made in bamboo. All of our interiors, the floor is bamboo parquet. In the bathrooms is a different kind of bamboo parquet, is waterproof, and in some other areas we use pine wood. So, and this is our main focus from the beginning, is the material and the bamboo, because in our looking is a sustainable wood, and we believe in that product. This is how we become a bamboo lovers, and we try to be an inspiration. Is the meaning of our name. EcoBoo is the fusion of ecologic and bamboo. So we don't, regarding the water, and I have one of these bottles here with me. We don't sell water in the hotel, so we give one bottle like that for exactly like that for all of our guests during the check-in. Is the way what we have to avoid to bring plastic bottles to the island, because no drinkable water. So when we have refill places, and the water is free for our guests 24 hours per day. These photos what I'm showing here is some nice pictures from our guests after leaving the hotel. So, and similar of jet-wing, we use the arrow plant. We have 2 arrow plants of 5 tons. We collect from the ocean with the osmosis process. and we storage and we supply our fresh water. We implement a sewage treatment plant as well, and after to treat the water, we use that water for the irrigation, and we collect the rainy water as well to go to the system and to become a fresh water, or to keep in the storage for the irrigation. So this is our location in our island. And after the study of the environmental impact, we choose the right places to put the pipes to collect water, and without any damage for the corals or for the fishes. Moving for the waste management, we're recycling all the organic waste from the kitchen and from the restaurant. In two ways: we have the normal composting area system, or with one machine which speed up the process of composting. And in 24 to 48 hours, we transform composting in fertilizer, and we use in our gardens. We have a shredder we bring to the island, not only for us, but to help the community as well, to try to crush all the non-organic waste, and to help and to optimize in the volume of the transport when we need to send all the waste to Maldives. The plastic, we avoid as maximum to use the plastic, but it's impossible to achieve 100%. From our side, yes, in our day by day, but we still have some suppliers and the things coming in plastic. But our goal is to avoid as maximum the use of the plastic. Here in our day by day, in restaurants, in rooms, we don't have plastic. We don't use plastic. So recently we make a partnership with Parley Maldives to segregate and to send all the plastic is the PET. I think it's plastic 1, 2, and 5, number 5, I think, and to collect all and to send for that NGO to take care of the plastic. So, but this is a topic we have a lot to do and to improve. It's not easy in the local island, and with more and more people coming to visit that small islands in Maldives, the waste management is a main focus for the future. Energy, we start in the beginning with 80 solar panels, and when we are more small, we still are super small comparing with Jetwing. We are a property with around 20,000 square feet. This is the area where we have the rooms allocated. But in the beginning, we installed 80 panels to produce 33 kilowatts, and now we increase the hotel. We take more 2 lands. We build one more restaurant. So, and we need to increase. In that moment, we have here already in the island for the phase 2 and phase 3, and we will have 250 solar panels with a producing of 95 kilowatts. So, and in that moment, and these numbers show us that we are producing in that moment around 30%. In the beginning, with less rooms, we produced 50%. We increase the consumption, so our autonomy reduce. And with the new implementation, we will increase to 60%. But in that moment, this is our numbers. We use around 194,000 from the grid. During that year, we already save around 77,000 kilowatts. So, and our main focus for the future is to continue with our social responsibility. And just to give one idea, that island have 200 people and living here around 40 people. So it's a really small community. We try to help in everything what we can. And I believe we are doing a good job, and to help the council as well, to give ideas, to bring Tinadu as a good example for the local tourism in Maldives, and to be an inspiration. So I think we are working good in the land area, but our future and main goals is to work more in the ocean. So now we have volunteer programs for the cleanup of the beach and cleanup in the island. So we want to start to do that in the ocean, because some of the reefs around the islands need to be cleaned. Our main focus is to achieve the neutral carbon footprint. and supporting the schools and the communities and training and promote and to try to help to give our example and to show our results and to be inspiration in the local tourism in Maldives, because it's growing a lot in the last years. So, and this is what I bring. I try to make sure that Dr. Xu Jing told me to do. And we just have 2 years. Our soft opening is in August 2022. We open really operation in November 2022 in one country with seasons. At the moment, we achieve 68% of occupancy, what we believe is a really good numbers, and give us an important sign. More and more people are looking for that kind of offers who work in sustainability, who have offers, sustainable offers. So the markets are looking and looking more and more. We are proud to win the small hotel winner of the lowest sustainable awards 2 months ago, and that's it. We have a lot to learn. I'm really interested to visit Chetwings in Sri Lanka. It's a great inspiration compared with a hotel with 50 years. We just have 2 years. We are doing our best and learning with that good examples what we have. Thank you so much, and our warm regards for all EcoBoo team. Thank you, Dr. Xu Jing, and thank you to all.
Thank you, Hugo. A big round of applause to you from the audience to you. Small as you said that your island where your boutique hotel is located is only having a population of 40 people from the Maldivian side. But I tell you, I've been to that small community island, and yes, 40 people, but when you swim with the sharks right on the beach of that island, you have more than 40 sharks, and with all beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coral reefs and all kinds of fish. So I think you are doing an extremely excellent job, and I wanted to encourage you to continue with that. I get excited, not just because I actually approached you. I get excited, and I continue to get excited, you being not a Maldivian, you are a non-Maldivian expat, but with such a high level of passion for the people and for the country of the Maldives. And by the way, I have the same degree of passion. And it is with this, you have done an excellent job, not just for the business side of it, but for the local community. And I think you already covered a little bit of the social caring part of it, but still, your self-sacrifices is what we need to compliment. And I understand you're coming this way to this part of Europe. And if you ever stop in Madrid, the reward to you is a Spanish tapa from me to Hugo. Yes, I think another thing that I wanted to explain for the knowledge of the audience is that in the Maldives, usually in the classic way of operation, you have the one island and one resort concept, and that concept is usually in islands where no people are living, uninhabited islands, whereas this one, the one that Hugo just mentioned about, and many other, they call it guest houses, and I would call boutique small hotels. They are actually built and developed and run and managed on inhabited islands where local communities are living. And this form of small tourism or community-based tourism is what we must compliment the government of the Maldives, because the wealth that you can generate is extremely more direct, and the benefits to the local communities are immediately felt when it comes to employment, when it comes to the cost of the living standard raising and along that line. All right, thank you once again, Hugo. And now let us welcome Dr. Abdullah Monsoon as the last convener of today's webinar. I know we are running out of time, but then each and every one, I hate to cut short any of you. And Dr. Monsoon is actually a very heavyweight. Not only in his physical sense, but more in the political and professional sense. Beg your pardon, Dr. Monsoon. And you in your CV, I only saw one simple line claiming that you are just a tourism expert. But I know you too long, and I checked your long list of career positions. Too long to read through here. But for example, you were 2 times tourism minister until very recent. For where? For the most famous tourism destination of the world. So this is a very heavyweight in that sense. And for another example, you were ambassador of your country for several countries such as Singapore, such as Australia and New Zealand, etc., etc. And don't forget, professionally, you have got a PhD from a UK university with thesis not just on political science, but on tourism development itself. And now you have you're doing your own thing as the CEO of the Transmedia Limited Maldives and the president of an NGO, Pathway Maldives. Dr. Monsoon, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sujin. I'm going to try to share my presentation. Hope you can see that one. It's not a lot. So I hope you can see it. Now, first of all, I'm very happy that we have had very nice examples of really sustainable initiatives from Sri Lankan Jetwing and also the Maldivian property Ekobu. Thank you very much, Hashan, Kure, Shashika, and Hugo. And of course, I'm very happy to see Professor Jafar here and also Professor Qasim and Zujing for your marvelous moderating of this one. So first of all, we would like to have this first question. Zujin, you mentioned the Maldives is a country, a destination of one island, one resort concept that's very popular. So people often ask, will community-based tourism impact the destination image? We have to understand that we started tourism some 50 years back, and till today, the one island, one resort concept has been the main way forward for tourism. It has brought the economic change we are seeing in the Maldives. It has made people's living better. It has helped develop the country. So tourism as it is with the one island, one resort concept is very good, and it has made the Maldives popular. So when we talk about sustainability and the little effects of the things that we do, will that impact tourism in a different way is really something we need to consider. But community-based tourism and the one island, one resort tourism can coexist. First of all, the geographical attributes of Maldives is such that we have this small one island, and there are inhabited islands. So just now, Ugo was explaining his initiatives at the Tinadu, but the resorts, they themselves have done wonderful. They have had very good sustainable initiatives from environment management, socio-cultural linkage, plus even economic linkage. They do that. But the reason why I say is community-based tourism and the luxury tourism can coexist because the policy framework of the government is designed in such a way, and the regulation guideline principles of community-based tourism makes coexistence possible because these are two different areas, and this product diversification is really important for the Maldives to be more competitive in the global arena. I think we just heard from Shashika and also Hashan about how the new tourists, and even Hugo mentioned about what the new tourists are looking for. The new tourists like experiences, and that is what the community-based tourism is doing. So we have got eco experiences, cultural heritage experiences, gastronomic and culinary experiences, and an opportunity for them to capture the unique experiences to show the world. That's what tourists are doing today, isn't it? Take the camera, take a photo, and let the world know that what you are doing. So now, in our tourism, what it has done is, while doing so, the island and atoll infrastructure has been developed, so making the people's life better. I think sustainability has to make people happy, and government initiatives to have a better infrastructure is helping that, and that infrastructure is needed for tourists. And because of our geography, without that infrastructure, tourism cannot be possible, and that infrastructure is helping us to travel to islands. When we were young, we used to travel to, like, for example, my island, Kela. It took 4 or 5 days, maybe even sometimes longer. But today, within 3 hours, we can reach there. And I think most important thing is another thing is happy, cohesive families. One Island, One Resort concept is very good. They have really helped island folks in terms of income. But unless people get the chance to work and live, the cohesive family thing cannot be as strong as that is needed. We have had the experience of people having to work very far from their own resort or own island and leaving the family behind. So that wasn't very helpful for the society. Now, with the new tourism developments, people are able to live in and work. Of course, tourism's wealth, Sujin, you mentioned it is a direct wealth distribution, and you can see it across the Maldives now. Now we have got nearly close to 30% of bed capacities in small hotels and guest houses and safari sector. And that income is being felt to people, and it links to the whole economy. The fishermen, the people who do activities, who do the farming, people who are craftsmen, the local music, all of them are getting it. And also the Maldivians are getting a chance to be the owners of tourism product in a smaller way. And we have got the legal system now. Foreigners can own, not the majority share, up to 49% of small hotels. So that's, I think, because tourism can only function in a global parameter. Then, of course, in Professor Jafar's introduction, he mentioned about the culture is and heritage is part of the sustainability. It has to be, and it is, and that's what small island tourism is doing now. It's giving meaning to culture and heritage. Island communities, they know that their music is valuable. The different buildings in the island, the historical items in the island, their way of life is very important part of tourism, and that is being regenerated. That is doing good. And of course, the environment, the traditional component of the sustainability is also being taken care of. Now, many islands, especially the island councils, they are very active, working with the private people in the island and enabling ecosystems to become part of the tourist attraction. And that is generating also income while protecting the ecosystem, preserving it. So I think that is marvelous. And of course, in our part of the world, I think unfortunately we have been lagging behind in empowering women. But now, with tourism, especially with community-based tourism, women are being empowered as tourism product owners, as tourism related different professionals, also as employees, and they are also in the our administrative system has island women committees, women development committees in the islands, and they are very active in this type of initiatives. And of course, one very good thing about this community-based tourism is having the effect they have on the youth, women, and also the general youth, male and female. So, Zujing, I'm very happy that the Maldives has embarked on this massive tourism development campaign of taking tourism to the people, so that Maldives can compete in the global arena with the demands of the new tourists. At the same time, maintaining the golden image of Maldives, the one island, one resort concept, because that image has to stay. And I am very happy that the private sector is working very hard on making sure that one island, one resort concept image stays, and also government initiatives, our fifth master plan, also really puts Maldives in that direction. And I'm very happy that our regional destination, Sri Lanka, is also working on many sustainable initiatives. I wish to thank the island councils of Maldives and the women development committees of Maldives Islands, and also the very hard working tourism sector team in the whole tourism sector, resorts, and especially the islands. In the islands, they are running their own water sports centers, dive centers, and other small businesses. Once again, Zujing, I wish to thank you, and also thanks the organizers of this webinar series for giving me the opportunity to be part of this. Thank you very much, Zujing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mansour, if I may call you Mouse, as I always call you, for accepting our invitation. And this is my first time seeing you after being the minister, and you're so relaxed with a tropical, exotic costume. So congratulations. And thank you so much, Mouse, for giving the audience such a good gist and a good brief on the overall policy framework, why the government has been doing this community-based tourism or people-oriented tourism. And I really feel that you have highlighted all the aspects of, because this will give the workers a chance to work closer to their homes. This will give the wealth distribution more directly to the local communities, and this will give more youth and women power empowerment. And I think most importantly, what your message is, that tourism, and through tourism, this will give the general happiness to the people of your country, and to both the host and the guest as a whole. And before I give the floor to others, and I wanted to also use this opportunity to say that the former minister, Dr. Mansour, he was, and history must remember that he was the champion and the hero in the recovery scheme of the COVID during that 3 years of recovery period. It was him who spearheaded the entire recovery process of the tourism as a destination in the Maldives, as the number one first, before anybody else, started to do that. And I remember it was July, August of 2020, when everyone was still in the midst of the lockdown, and you spearheaded that, and you have made that success, and history must remember that, and congratulations. And before I move on to the Q's and A's questions, I would like to ask and consult Dr. Kazem and Jafar whether you would like to say a few words either as concluding part, because I understand you are also tight on time, and or you prefer that we do the Q's and A's for the next 20 minutes.
Thank you, David. We have a very short video. Do you mind if we show it and then we go for the quick discussion?
Great, and then that's the culture break, right?
Yes. So let's our admin people show the video. Thank you very much.
This is great, Kazem. So you want to say a few words, or Dr. Jafari, who seems to be packing to go to the airport?
Okay, before I pass the floor to Professor Jafar for the conclusion remark, actually, I am really impressed with the amount of the strong relation and the linkage between theory and practice in the field. So what we teach in academia about sustainable tourism was showcased in all the presentations tonight. And I would like to add my emphasis on that. What I learned is that the common resources that is owned by community are either the cultural resource or the natural resource. If there are cultural and social resources and we use in tourism, they get more polished, they get more famous, they bring more proud to the community, and it brings involvement, it's community empowerment. And in the other side, if we overuse the natural resources or economic resources, then it will compete with community and it's against sustainability. So the examples that were explained today, such as the case of bamboo usage in tourism as not only a material, but also the brand is the case. In a prefecture, I just want to give an example where I am based in Japan. We have the biggest size or number of bamboo, let's say, invasion in Oita Prefecture in Japan is #1 in Japan in terms of bamboo. Once it was planted by farmers for bamboo crafting, and then after change of lifestyle, the need and demand decreased, and now we have bamboos everywhere. And of course, that amount of biomass is an opportunity, but people looking at bamboo as a problem. The example tonight from Maldives, for example, was a very good case that we can learn and share knowledge among the communities about the wise use of natural resources. Thank you very much. We do not have much time, and I'm afraid if our Professor Jafar need to go to the airport. So I would like to pass it on to Jafar for the conclusion remark.
Well, thank you very much for a very exciting panel with 4 excellent presentations. The webinar has been already longer than scheduled time. So my remarks are going to be also, I'm going to shorten my remarks so that we stay within the limited time that we added to the webinar time. This was a learning experience for me. We always advocate that there are 3 partners, at least 3 partners in tourism: the residents, the tourist, and the tourism employees. All these 3 populations are considered and handled very well in the cases presented in this webinar. It was really, really impressive how you have brought everything together within the limits of environment and sometimes isolation. In the old days and in the present days, basically we are looking up to the bigger destinations to see what they are doing. And tonight I got a different vision. And that is, maybe we should look at the smaller destinations and learn from smaller destinations rather than the larger ones. The larger ones are good for learning from their mistakes. And looking at the small ones now, you see how they are becoming innovative, creative with limited resources in hand. That is amazing. An island with 1 resort and everything is brought together and using as much local resources as possible, as in it was evident in both cases of Maldives and in Sri Lanka. That is impressive. So let's go back to the old concept that didn't get on so much attention. In 1970s, we had the Schumacher, who came up with the concept and wrote a book on small is beautiful. Small is beautiful. Let's go back to that. And we saw how small things can do big things in tourism for the environment, for the tourists, and for the residents. This is my conclusion. It's a highlight of a reconfirmation of the way tourism should go and bring all the three communities together, not at the expense of the environment, but to the advantage of the environment, not at the expense of the culture, but to the advantage of the culture. And I close with one of the words of Dr. Masoom, happiness. You see the happiness evident among all the three populations I named. So thank you very much for the gift of applying knowledge to practice, bridging tourism theory and practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jafari and Dr. Kazem, for your beautiful concluding remarks. Small indeed is beautiful, and it will be beautifully for Jafar as well, since you are based in the United States, and when you are flying, you can catch some badly needed sleep on the airplane, if that is the case that you have to go. Otherwise, let's switch to the last session, and I still see quite some people on our audience side, and I will reduce and cut short a little bit of our Q's and A's, and I will start first with our first speaker, the second speaker, Sashika, and then I'll move on to Hugo, and I'll end it up with Dr. Monsoon. For Sashika, I think my question is very, very simple. I know your hotel group has many properties, and investment into certain thing new is not that difficult, but still, tell us, when you increase the percentage of energy usage using new technology, as compared with the traditional way of generating power, traditional way of providing hot water, have you got the challenge of overcoming the increased cost of operations, or it is the other way around?
When it comes to these kinds of investments, obviously, yeah, it's a huge financial cost, a burden in the short run. But as the word sustainability is in itself defined, it's about longevity, it's about the long term. So especially if you look at things like solar PV, the initial investment is high, but it will be paid back in about 4 to 5 years, given like the tariff rates in Sri Lanka at least. We're looking at a simple payback about 4 to 5 years. So if you consider the lifespan of these units, which are about 20 years, you're then looking at about 12 to 15 years of free energy, essentially. So if you think about the long term, yes, it's an initial cost, but long term, you're benefiting. And it's not just about the energy cost in itself, it's the other supplementary or peripheral benefits you're getting. When you invest in sustainable technology, you can talk about it. You can use it as an advantage from a marketing point of view. It will bring down your carbon footprint again, which you can use in your comms and how it can benefit you. You will be contributing to your national targets and goals, especially the NDCs, etc. So if you think about that, it shouldn't be about your initial cost, at least. That shouldn't be your only consideration. And like for Jetwing Hotels, yes, we've now invested quite significantly in this particular project or in these energy initiatives, but it didn't start out us doing it at this scale or volume. We started out, consider solar, we started out with 20 kilowatt systems. We now moved on to 300 plus kilowatts. Again, this was also shown in Hugo's example, I think. You don't have to do everything at once. You can look at a scaled approach. So it makes sense for you, your company, depending on your scale as well. So there are several, you can consider those aspects when you're investing and not just look at that or think sustainability, energy, all of this is like a huge cost for you upfront.
Excellent, excellent. So in other words, am I correct that what you're conveying as a message is that you need to start in a phased approach. You need to start with something that more practical and more feasible and something more small before you go into mega framework. And also you do it in an integrated way. Yes, cost is an issue, but you also consider the social factor, the environmental factor, the cultural factor, or even the political factor. So Thank you so much for this one. I really want to ask you a million questions. I will save those when I actually come to Colombo. So please, thank you. And now I switch to Hugo. I switch to Hugo with actually the same question, but from a different point of view. How you guys, as a small entity, started to think mega concept like solar energy, like all of these new applications. And then from there, I have a specific question different from the first speaker, and that is, how do you strike the balance between recruiting the local, really local islanders of the Maldives vis-a-vis some of these Sri Lanka employees or other non-Maldivian employees? How did you overcome the challenge when it comes to quality? Hugo, please.
So is one of our biggest challenge. Now we have more Maldivians, and we are recruiting all the time. We try to have job opportunities for Maldivians. We feel that the people are more open to move for the local islands, to not looking only for the job in Male or Ulu Male, but start to come to live here, to live in the island, the happy life, what Dr. Mansoon mentioned. And we start to have some local population to compare what is a resort, because in one local island, if conditions have a different freedom of life. So we have from Sri Lanka, we have many staff and well educated and with really good skills in hospitality. We have some from Maldives, but we want more. For sure, all of the water activities, boats, all of this is 100% Maldivian. Are the kings here in Maldives to enjoy the ocean. But we are trying to do our part, and one of the focus is more ladies, to try to find the equity between men and ladies, and this is very difficult in Maldives. We are open the positions, and we realize it's difficult here for one lady to move to our island and to live here. We are trying our part. And I hope we will achieve more and more employees from Maldives soon.
Well, certainly, as a guest, as a tourist, if I were to choose, for instance, you have beautiful dive instructors or snorkeling guides. My guts feeling or my immediate, reaction would be, sorry, I wanted a real Maldivian tour guide and a real Maldivian diving instructor. He will show me the local islands much better than a non-Maldivian person. Am I correct? So that's the tendency.
But we have. Yes, this is 100% Maldivian.
Excellent. Now I still don't want you to go, and please talk about the cost of operations of the new technology application vis-a-vis the traditional way of generating power.
So my
from
opinion
the
is
environmental
similar.
perspective, not from the environmental perspective, but more from the financial and economic perspective.
In the financial perspective, I think it's a very good investment in Maldives, because the cost of energy here it's high. The payback when we invest in solar energy here, I can tell you, is the half of the time of Europe, because we have diesel generators in the islands. I think the cost of energy in that moment is around 40 cents per kilowatt. And when we compare with some countries in Europe with half of this price, so you can pay your investment in around 3 to 4 years. So it's a very good investment.
That is very different, because I hear from Sashika something about 10 years, and you can do within 3 years, even as a small entity.
4 years, yes.
Isn't this good news for all the small communities development, for anyone who wanted to do small boutique hotels like yours in other parts of the world?
Yes.
This is very good news, very good news. But still, you
the
don't
question
have...
is the price of the energy, because here is around 40 cents per kilowatt. In some countries, it's 20 cents, 22 cents. So
now,
this is what making to pay fast.
In other words,
Sorry
it's
to interrupt.
because of during the inflation situation here in Europe and here in the United States, then probably the cost of the classic way of operations is even higher. Is that what you're saying? In
Sorry?
generating power, in generating electricity.
No, in general, here what we feel is that the energy is expensive. I think Maldives have find a good balance, I believe, because they have affordable price for the local houses, and the price for the business it's completely different, and it's expensive. So, and first of all, we are making green energy, and I'm trying to don't look for the sustainable way side what you mentioned, but only in the financial perspective. And with the high price of the energy, you recover the money more fast what you invest, because you are saving money every month with your investment. The payback
This
is
is
short.
very, very good news to hear. I wonder if Sashika have anything to add on this particular point or not.
Just a small correction on what you mentioned. In Sri Lanka, the payback, it's usually about 4 to 5 years. This used to be about 6 to 7 years, but again, Sri Lanka also has had a lot of fluctuations in our energy cost over the last couple of years due to the economic crisis and the dollar or the rupee depreciation, all of that. We've had fluctuations. So it again makes sense for us as well to invest in renewable energy, because after you invest in it, you're looking at a flat rate for your stabilized cost of energy going for the next 20 years-ish. So it should not, yeah, it's the same for us as well. It makes sense financially to invest in our own sustainable sources of energy. This
is excellent. This is good to hear, and I think this will be very beneficial concept and ideas for the rest of the audience who are interested in these kind of initiatives. Now, due to the time limit, I have to switch to Dr. Monsoon. Dr. Monsoon, as usual, my question will be more politically oriented, you being the former tourism minister. Now, I understand that, well, as everyone knows, that the Maldives is known as a super mega upscale market. Resorts are super expensive, and when you go, you're going for upscale markets. Only 12 years ago or something, no, 2012 and something like more than 10 years ago, you started this concept of so-called guest house, meaning small hotels on inhabited islands, and you call people-oriented tourism. Now, my question to you as an ex-policymaker and implementer, are there any downside of this coming up and booming of guest houses around the local islands? Are they taking the pie from the big players of resort owners and resort operators? And if so, how did you or how are you as government overcoming some of these imbalances?
Thank you, Zujin. I think that's a very critical question for this debate today, because a Maldives tourism master plans, first master plan, second, third, fourth, and fifth tourism master plan also highlighted luxury tourism. And that is, I'm sure Professor Jafar will agree with us, a low density, high yield tourism was considered sustainable. So in that regard, we have to have that one island, one resort luxury tourism very strongly promoted, safeguarded, and I'm sure Maldives government and the industry will do that. That is important. But at the same time, that ultra luxury market is a very small fragment of the global travelers. And in terms of sustainability, we should give a chance for other people to come and experience the most beautiful destination in the world, world's leading destination of the world. Every human being has the right to come and experience Maldives. So while doing so, we are only making the product more balanced. I normally give this example, Riching, that our product should be balanced like the seat structure of the aeroplane. there should be some beds for the private jet tourists, and there should be some beds for the first class tourists. There should be some beds for the business class, and there should be beds for other classes, and even to the low-cost airline people. That is what tourists are made of today. So thanks for our geography, thanks for our policy, we can have both tourism coexist. The ultra luxury tourists came into their own private airport, in their private jet, take their own private plane or other transport and go to their private resort and have a very ultra luxury holiday and go back. But the new tourists who wish to have the experiences, they can come and go and have experience of the local community. But I wish to emphasize that one island, one resort concept has really made Maldives what we are today, and we must safeguard that concept. And I said that in our Golden Jubilee Gala speech, I mentioned that we must do that. We must ensure that one island, one resort concept is maintained and sustained, and make sure that will ensure that Maldives tourism is sustainable.
Thank you so much, Maus. And this is super, super good concept, that extra luxury does not mean extra exclusive. It is inclusive because tourism is a basic right for all the human beings on this Earth planet. And every single person on this planet has the right to visit beautiful places like the Maldives, and the product must be and can be diversified, and tourism can be for all. And with that, I think it's time for us to conclude today's webinar. And as you already heard beautiful messages from all the speakers, and especially from the world famous Professor Jafar Jafari, small is beauty. And anything, no matter how small it is, as long as we try to advocate it over years, months, and days, and over the course of time, that small change will bring about multiplier effect or butterfly effect to the society, to the environment, and to the countries, to the region, and to the rest of the world. And with that, let me thank all the speakers and the organizers one more time, and all the best to all of you from Shujing here in Madrid. Adios.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would like to have a group photo. The video can be open for the audience. If you would like to be in the photo, please turn on your videos. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shukriya.
Shukriya. Shukriya. Adios.
Divhera janna chahenge. Please come to Maldives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.